What's up, all you moto fanatics? Dino here with Dino Moto Reviews. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're returning and if you're new to the channel, well, I'm glad to have you. Welcome to my garage here in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. Today we're going to be going over handlebar control products that I put on this 2005 Honda CRF 450R. But before we jump into that, guys, just a disclaimer, I'm not a professional rider. I'm not sponsored by any of the products that are on this channel or by any of the companies that I purchased the products through. Companies that I purchased the products through, now they've just taken care of me for a really long time. Some have fast free shipping on orders over a certain dollar amount, which is really nice this day and age, especially with how expensive things have gotten. I try to get those savings where I can and when I can. The products I've had on my bike for a little while now, and I just wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions on how they've been working for me for the past few years. Remember, guys, this is an opinion-based channel, so if you feel strongly about another product, put it down in the comments below. That way you get that conversation started. That way myself and others can take a look at it and maybe consider putting it on our bikes in the future, okay? All right, so how this video is gonna run, we're gonna go over the handlebar grips first. We're gonna brush over the cable controls. Then we're gonna jump into the handlebars last but not least. Alrighty, guys, so why did I go with the ODI V2 lock-on grips in the first place? One was just ease of installation. So I didn't have to use any messy grip glue, spray paint, or wire tie. All it is a 3mm Allen head bolt on your clutch side. Throttle side, you're going to get a brand new throttle tube with each and every purchase of lock-on grips. It's also going to come with a bunch of different cams in the package. Go to ODI's website, figure out which cam fits your make and model, put it onto your throttle tube. I like to run a little bit of grease on the inside of the throttle tube, then I'll run some on the handlebar itself. That way it just ensures I'm going to have smooth throttle actuation. Also going to prevent some of the wear, being that it's a plastic throttle tube going up against the metal handlebar. Then what I'll do is I'll put the throttle tube onto the handlebar, I'll hook up the throttle cables to the cam, then I want to put that throttle housing back together, making sure that the cables aren't getting pinched or frayed. A pinched or a frayed throttle cable could lead to a potential injury if you're hitting jumps, could leave you stranded out in the middle of nowhere, or just at the track watching your buddies ride. None of those are fun, so I can't stress that enough. Make sure you get everything aligned as you're putting that back together. I like to leave the throttle housing loose onto the handlebar, because what I'm going to do is push the throttle tube all the way up against the edge of the handlebar. Then I'm going to back it off just a little bit, tighten down that throttle housing. Then what I like to do, just to ensure that I'm having that smooth throttle actuation, I like to turn my handlebars and twist the throttle tube, making sure that it goes back to its original start position. Once I know that that's good, I'm set to go on that side. Don't have to touch it. Okay? So on the clutch side, you're going to have a 3mm Allen head bolt, as I said before. Push the handlebar grip onto the handlebar all the way up against the edge. Tighten down the 3mm Allen head bolt until it's snug. Go an 1/8 to a 1/4 turn. Don't go too tight. It's easy to strip the threads out or snap a head. Then you're out $30. Have to go back to the shop, get yourselves another set of grips. Not really cost effective at that point. So a little bit of a consideration to take in when you're putting the clutch side on. If it does not fit, you're going to have to do some sanding. If you cannot get that handlebar grip over the handlebar, stop. Sand down that with either emery cloth, which works the best, or get some sandpaper. Sandpaper will work, it just takes a little bit longer. Once you can get that handlebar grip over the handlebar and you tighten everything down, now you're set to go ride. So some other aspects that I really like, especially about the Rogue Edition, and the reason I went with the Rogue Edition is the fact that they reminded me of a full waffle grip. I've been running that for the last 5 years. Started running the full waffle grip after I found out that Eli Tomac runs that on all of his dirt bikes. And I'm a huge Tomac fan. I'm hoping he has an amazing season this year. Glad to see him back on the bike. But I figured he's a multi-time champion. He's an elite athlete. He's got things figured out. If I do what he does, I'm going to get a little bit better at the sport that I love so much and I'm so passionate about. The other thing that I really like about these grips is I had awesome grip. I never slipped off even when I fell in the wet and muddy conditions. my hands stayed firmly onto the handlebars. Never noticed my hands slipping off. Really like that about these. They're also a very soft compound, so it's got a nice soft tack. It's not too hard on your hands, but yet the grip is firm enough that it's not really going to wear down that much. I rode in these a couple of times. I haven't noticed any wear. I'm really liking that about these. A potentially weak spot on these grips is the ends of the handlebars. They have the knockout, so if you're running hand guards that wrap around the little metal bar that come into the edge of the handlebar, you can run those. That's a potentially weak area. I don't run the hand guards, and I'll keep you guys informed. I've fallen a few times. I haven't had any issues, but as I run these a little bit longer, I'll keep you guys informed. So they come in a gray or a black. I like the gray. I felt like it completed the look of my bike. It's kind of a personal preference. I wasn't too worried about my gloves rubbing off onto the grip or dirt showing. If you are worried about that, go get yourselves a set of black. Really good grips, guys, so far. I really like these. I'll leave links in the description below for all the products that are going to be in this review. That way you know the cost, where to go and get yourselves a set. I actually picked these up at my local shop here in Grand Junction at All Terrain Motorsports. These guys are amazing over there. They take really good care of their customers, and they have an amazing shop. Still blowing away every time I walk in there. So if you're in the Grand Valley area, go and check those guys out. They'll take real good care of you. All right, so that is the ODI V2 lock-on grips, guys. So now we're gonna move into the cable controls from Motion Pro. All right, guys, so the Motion Pro cable controls. So as I said before, we're just gonna brush over these. Not too much to talk about when it comes to cable controls, but I went with Motion Pro's brand just because of the cost effectiveness. It was something that wasn't going to break the bank. The most expensive cable was the clutch, being at $21. The throttle cables and the hot start were about $8 or $9 a piece. I'll get accurate pricing down in the description below. But these products have lasted me for about 3 years. I haven't had any issues. The actual only issue that I had was by my own error. I ended up pinching and fraying out one of the throttle cables as I put the throttle housing back together. That's why when we were talking about the lock-on grips, make sure that you get that aligned so you're not doing that. I was very fortunate that the cable didn't break when I was out riding in the middle of nowhere, or when I was at the track causing me to get injured while I was hitting a jump, or just sitting there watching other guys ride while I was working on my bike. So very fortunate in that aspect. I actually kept the stock ones as a backup, and they're working just fine. Those are currently on the bike. So another way to extend the life of your cable is by getting some of this cable life. So this is a lubricant. It works on all different types of cables, and it's going to help it prevent rust and give that smooth actuation. If you live in a high humid area, you have a higher potential for rust. So if you live in Florida, you're going to want to use this more frequent. I ride about 4 times a month, so 3 times a year for me out here in this dry, deserty climate. Works just fine for me. If you ride a lot more frequent than that, you'll definitely want to use this a little bit more than 3 times a year. So go and pick yourselves up some. 1 can will last you a long time, but it's good stuff to have. Okay. All right. So now that we got the cables out of the way, last but not least, let's jump into these Renthal Twinwall handlebars. All righty, guys. So the Renthal Twinwall handlebars. So I've ran these handlebars for a very long time now. I actually had them on a previous bike, a 2003 KTM 125SX. Little funny story about that bike. When I purchased the handlebars for it, my mom was with me because I was 15 at the time, and she went into the shop. And back then they were running about $136 at the time. Well, the parts manager was a funny guy, and my mom asked him after seeing the price tag, "Are those any good handlebars?" And he said, "Ma'am, if he bends or breaks those handlebars, I'll be at his funeral." Now, that's not something that any mother wants to hear about their son potentially ending up in the morgue, especially my overprotective mother. But basically what he was saying, yeah, these handlebars are rock solid. And he was correct. I have wrecked off of jumps. I've laid it over in corners. I've had my bike take a few tumbles on both the KTM and this Honda, and the bars have been straight and true every single time. So what makes these bars so durable? Well, it's a combination of factors. So you have two metal compounds coming together to form one handlebar. You have a T7 3 aluminum alloy on the outer tube. On the inner tube, it's going to be a T6 aluminum alloy. You're also going to have a crossbar member that goes from end to end. And then you're also going to have an 1 1/8 in diameter thickness at the base of the handlebar. Now, considerations for that. With this being such a rigid bar and so durable, it's going to have a very rigid feel. You're going to get a lot of feedback from bumps in the trail and bumps at the track. So, ways around that: play with your tire pressure, get your suspension adjusted to your weight and your speed, get you some soft grips. If that's not working for you, you're going to have to go to a totally different handlebar, Renthal fat bar, Pro Taper contour bar. Those will have a little bit more flex, a lot less feedback into your hands. The other consideration is if you have the standard 7/8 inch handlebar, you're going to have to get some bigger bar clamps. And there's numerous bar clamps out there. Pick one that fits your guys' budget, what will work for you, okay? I really like the rigid feel of these handlebars. That doesn't bother me. So I'm going to stick with these. They've lasted me a long time, like I said before, and I can't say enough about them. I do want to start trying a few other different handlebars out there, like the Pro Taper makes a fusion bar where you can adjust the tension. Also, the ODI CFT bars to where you can adjust that tension as well. I'd like to try those, actually ride the bike and give you my feedback while I'm riding, but hopefully we'll get there. Other than that, I'm going to stick with these handlebars for the most part because right now they are my favorite handlebars. I went through probably 12 Pro Taper contour bars when I could have just went with these and been set. So I recommend them to anybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on the next video. Ride safe. Guys, if you really like that video and you like what we're doing on this channel, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. Click subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, and if you click subscribe, you might as well click the bell notification icon for future video content that will be released on down the road. And I hope to see you on the next one. Until next time, ride safe.